it was sketchy. Okay, so we did not know that it was sketchy. Hey guys, it's Rose and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan. Today, as you can see, I have some food in front of me and I'm so excited because this is going to be a Korean street food mukbang. So this right here is my homemade tteokbokki. If you guys don't know, tteokbokki is Korean rice cake dish. I do have a recipe video on this. So if you guys want the recipe, I'll link that down below. You definitely want the recipe. It's so good. I am so excited to eat this. Oh my gosh, guys. My mouth literally watering. And then right here is just some store-bought things that I got from the Korean supermarket. So we've got some dumplings, or mandu as we call them in Korea. And then these are these seaweed rolls, which in Korean we call it gimmari. And then I just bought it at the frozen section of the supermarket, both of them. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna eat and then we can talk. Tteokbokki is the star of the show, people. So this is like very standard Korean street food. By the way, do you like this angle? Like, what do you think? Okay, I'm trying to work the best angle for mukbang videos, and I don't know, guys. I am not a mukbanger. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? Oh my god, seriously, my mouth is watering. So I just made this. It's so good. Oh my god. It's so good. So all this food in front of me is vegan, obviously. I get so many questions from people. Of course, I eat mid-sentence. I get so many questions from people that always say to me like, oh, you're Korean, like how are you vegan? Or, oh my god, I couldn't go vegan because I love Korean food or I love Asian food. I'm like, girl, Asian food is some of the easiest things you could turn vegan. I honestly don't miss out on pretty much anything. All this stuff is completely vegan, and Asian food is like where it's at, especially if you're vegan. Because I feel like in Asia, you know, back in the day, meat was not a huge part of Asian, by the way, this is soy sauce and vinegar mixed. That's for the dumplings. Anyways, yeah, meat was not a huge part of Asian cuisine until recently because meat was very expensive. So I don't know what y'all talking about. Okay, Asian food is so good for vegans. Oh my god, it's so good. I also have some oyster mushrooms in here. I'm gonna eat some and then we can talk. So good. Anyway, so today I actually wanted to tell you guys a bit of a story because last time I did this video where I think it was like a vlog. I was in London and I was talking about how I had a crazy landlord when I was living in London with my friend Chrissy, and how I have like a story, and a lot of you were like, oh my god, tell us a story. And I was like, I guess I could do that for a mukbang video. But the thing is, I'm not really like a storytime YouTuber at all. So I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm sorry if this is boring to you, but this is gimmari. So this is basically like seaweed and it's like battered. And then inside there's like, I don't know, like vegetables and noodles. It's like stuffed. Let me just show you. So good. And you're supposed to dip it. Ooh. Dip it in this tteokbokki sauce. I wish I could share this moment with all of you because it's so good. Anyway, By the way, if you guys like more personal videos, I do have a vlog channel and I have been very much enjoying posting on my vlog channel. So if you guys are interested in more personal stuff, then go subscribe to my vlog channel. Link is down below. So let me tell you the story of when I lived in London and I had some crazy landlords, okay? If you guys don't know, I used to live in London from June 2014 to June 2016. I was there for 2 years and I was there on a working holiday visa. That's actually when I started my YouTube channel in 2015 when I was living in London. So I moved there in 2014 and I dragged my friend Chrissy with me. My friend Chrissy, so she said she wanted to go to Edinburgh and I was like, girl, come to London with me. So she's like, okay. So I dragged her to London with me. So we both got the visa together and we both moved to London together. Now initially, what had happened? Initially, I got to London first, like the day before her, and I have some friends in London already, so I was lucky enough to be able to stay with one of my friends. But Chrissy had to stay in a hostel, so she got there the day after, and she was staying in a hostel in, I think it was in Kensington or like somewhere fancy, okay? It was like a nice area. But I went to visit her at this hostel the day that she got there. And let me just tell you guys, this hostel was like one of the worst I have seen like ever because it was just so crammed, people. And I have been to my share of hostels. I've been to many hostels all over Southeast Asia, all over Europe. This hostel was like definitely one of the worst because even though it was in like a nice area, they tried to cram so many beds into like one room. This room that she was staying in was like a small room, but there was probably like 20 beds in there because they actually had like a 3-bunk bed. Is that what they call it? Like a 3-story bed. I've never seen that at a hostel. Usually it's like a bunk bed, but there it was like 3 beds and I was like, oh my God. And it smelled like socks, dirty shoes, dirty socks. Ew. I should not be talking about this while I'm eating food. Anyways. Still tastes good. So when I went there, I was like, oh my God, we need to get you out of here like ASAP. I felt so bad. I was like, you cannot live here. This is gross. So we started looking for a place immediately. Well, we were initially already going to look for a place, but we were like even more rushed because I was like, this place is crap. If y'all know anything about London, it is so expensive. You get absolute nothing for your money. So we had already done some research, and I'm just gonna take this bracelet off because it's bugging me. We had already done some research on London living situations, like rent and all that stuff, but we did not realize the extent of which, we did not realize the severity of the situation, okay? Because we had done some research and we thought, okay, we are gonna put a budget, each of us, we're gonna pay £500. That'll be our budget, £500 a month, which at the time, £500 would have been 1,000 Canadian dollars. 1,000 Canadian dollars, which is already a lot from what we're used to. 1,000 Canadian dollars a month can get you so much, especially where I live here. And we've seen a few places, some rooms online that were £500. So we're like, okay, it's possible. And also we wanted to live in zone 2. London is divided into like zones, okay? So there's like central London, which is zone 1, and then zone 2 and zone 3, so on and so forth. Basically, the smaller the number, the more centralized it is. So we wanted to live in zone 2 because that way we're at least somewhat close to central, but obviously we can't afford to live in zone 1. So when we moved there, we're looking at places in zone 2 and we're looking within the £500 mark. Now, let me tell you, £500 will get you pretty much nothing in London. Of course, we also wanted to find a place together, the two of us, so we wanted to each have a room in a place together. We needed a place that had 2 bedrooms available. So that made it a little bit more difficult for us. That was another like issue that we had to face. But we were looking at these places And they were all room shares, they were all like house shares. And in London, this is very common because a lot of people like come and go. So there's a lot of like places where like the landlord will just like rent out rooms separately rather than just rent out the entire house to like a family or to friends. It would just be like each room separately. So that's what we did, and that's what we were looking for. And a lot of times, pretty much always, there was like no living room in any of these places because they would take the living room and just turn it into another bedroom so that they can make extra money. Not only was there no living room, even in the kitchen, there would be no dining space for like the majority of the places that we saw. So like there's no living room and there's also no place to sit down and have a meal. And I was like, oh my God, are we just spoiled in Canada? I was like, oh my God, like I can't live like this. Like it just seemed like just so, like for what I was paying, like for 500, 600 pounds, I'm like, can I at least have a place to sit down to have a meal, please? Like, oh my God. That is the reality, guys, of moving to a big city. Let me just tell you. People don't tell you this stuff because you see the glamorous stuff, you see the Tower of London, you see, you know, central London. You don't see the crappy living situations. So, we're starting to realize how spoiled we are in Canada and how much room we have. Here's the thing. We're also used to having so much room in Canada. Like, this is a huge country, okay? And where we live also, everything is big. Like, all the houses are big. Even if you live in a small house, like, it's not going to be anything like London. So anyways, we're looking around. Not only are there no living rooms, which I was okay with. Like, I was okay with not having a living room, but I was just not okay with, like, not having a dining area, just like even a table to sit down and have a meal. Like, how am I supposed to eat? Do you just eat at your bed? Like, literally. And like these rooms also that were 500 pounds ish, they were so small, you guys. So these were single bedrooms. And what I found out was that single bedroom meant basically the room cannot fit any more than a single bed. And a single bed is a very small bed. By the way, I put some ramen noodles in here too. Oh my God. So good. So we're looking and looking and looking and just constantly getting really disappointed. And it was just really stressful because London, at least at the time, I'm not sure how it is right now, but like at the time, like so many people wanted to live in London and so many people moved to London. So landlords and estate agents just did whatever they wanted because someone's gonna live there no matter what. Like, even if it's a mess when you show it, because I've seen so many places where I would walk in and it's just like a complete disgusting mess. And I'm like, do you not know that you're showing this place? Clearly they don't care because they know someone is going to take it. So we're seeing all these crappy places, right? And eventually we're starting to like lose a lot of hope. Keep in mind, this was only like a few days, so we're being over dramatic. But we were in this area called Shepherd's Bush, which is in West London. We were about to see a place. We had already made a reservation or an appointment to see this place. And the guy just like did not show up. This is an example of like how people just like don't really care. I don't think it's just London. I think it's just big city syndrome. Like, people are just too busy living their lives and they just don't really like consider other people. Of course, I'm just generalizing here. So we showed up at this place, no one showed up, and we were pissed off. And then we went to a coffee shop to see if there were any other places around the area since we were there anyway. And then we came across this house that was a lot more than we wanted to pay. So I think there were 2 bedrooms and each one was like above 700 pounds. So our budget initially was 500 pounds and this was 700 pounds, which in Canadian dollars would be 1,400 Canadian dollars at the time. So we're like, oh my God. But it looked really nice. It looked spacious. And at this point we had kind of realized that we probably should up our budget if we wanted to get anything that was livable at that point, or at least like up to kind of like half our standards. Okay. Like, we were willing to take, you know, some sacrifices, but there were certain things that like we just didn't want to live in like a depressing tiny little cupboard of a room. So we saw this place, we're like, okay, let's just look at it, even though it's above our budget. We went to go see it and we really liked it. So it was like a house, there were 5 rooms. Again, there was no living room because one of the rooms was converted into a bedroom. But the rooms were very spacious, like very, very spacious. And there were a couple of bathrooms. There was a small little dining table in the kitchen. The kitchen was pretty big. There was a backyard. Like, it was decent compared to all of the other places that we've seen. It actually made us feel like, oh, okay, this could be a home. This isn't just like a dorm room. So we decided to suck it up and pay the 700 something pounds. Okay. So we signed the contract and ended up moving in, probably like the day after. But the problem was, it was sketchy. Okay, so we did not know that it was sketchy. So sketchy. We moved in. We like the area as well, because there's some parts of London where it's like, oh my god, I can't live here, you know? Do I sound really spoiled in this video? Oh my god. I'm just like, maybe I was sheltered, you know? So, the area was pretty nice. The houses around that house were pretty nice. So, we moved in. And I can't remember exactly how it went down because it was like a while ago. But basically, initially when we moved in, they asked us to pay in cash. Now, I thought initially it was because we didn't have a bank account at the moment. So we had like nothing set up. So we had no problem like paying in cash. So we paid the initial like deposit or whatever it was like in cash. But then after we started living there, we realized that they were just constantly expecting us to pay in cash. So after I had got my bank account, my UK bank account, I told them, I was like, okay, now I can pay via bank transfer like any other normal tenant living situation. And they were like, no, cash only. Cash only. I was like, so even when I had a job, I got a job pretty quickly. So I got a bank account and I got all of that set up very, very quickly. They basically kept asking us to pay in cash. And it was so sketchy because initially they were like, okay, just leave the cash in your room and someone will come and pick it up. So we had to leave like 750 pounds on our like bedside table for someone to come in and pick it up. So sketchy. And then all of a sudden, because I kept like kind of fighting with them to like not pay in cash because I'm like, dude, like this is sketchy. But they were just not having it. And I think they were like pissed off that I was like trying to fight them. So all of a sudden they were like, oh, you actually have to come into our office now to pay rent. AKA I have to go into their office with a wad of cash to pay rent. What is this? So then I was like, first of all, I have a job now. Like I'm working 9 to 6 actually. I'm working 9 to 6. I am working in the exact hours that you are open in your office. So I can't physically go to your office to pay rent just because you want me to pay in cash because you're shady. Oh. So I was literally like so mad. I was like, this is not normal. I want to pay you rent. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not gonna pay you rent, but just let me pay via bank transfer. And plus, I couldn't actually physically pay the rent because here's the thing. The rent was due, I think, like on the 1st of the month. So in order for me to pay the rent on the 1st of the month in cash, I would have to take out that money and then bring it to them on the 1st of the month, okay? First of all, I'm working Monday to Friday, 9 to 6. Second of all, I only got paid at the end of the month. So at the end of the month, I get paid from my job. And then I have to somehow take out 700 pounds, which was not possible for me to take out once at a time because I had a limit of 500 pounds to take out per day. So if I get paid on like the 30th or the 31st, I can't physically take out 700 pounds to pay for the 1st. Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see how it doesn't add up? So I explained this to them. I was like, listen, this is what's going on. I can't actually pay you if you expect me to pay cash on the first of the month. They're just like, oh my God, you are the most difficult tenant. And they're just like making me feel super guilty, even though I wasn't feeling guilty because I was not having any of that crap. They're just like, oh my God, you are the worst tenant. No one else has a problem with this, which I know was a lie because I know that everyone else in that house had a problem with it. So then, one day, it just kicked off. I ended up getting locked out of the house by accident because the door locks on itself, and then I did not have my key. So I had to actually go to that office while I was like in the middle of like fighting with them. It was like a day when I had like a day off from work. It was like the one day I had off from work, and the lady is like, are you the girl that has a problem with paying in cash? And I was like, yes, I am. And I'm not a confrontational person, okay? So I don't like that kind of confrontation, but I was so pissed that I did not care. And she was like, why can you come in on a day like this, but you can't come in to pay rent? I was like, first of all, that's none of your business. Like, I have a day off. That's none of your business. Second of all, just because I can come in today does not mean I can come in every single day to pay rent. So then I started fighting with her. She was one of the girls that worked for the guy that I'm pretty sure was like illegally subletting that place, which has to be the only reason why he was asking for cash. I don't know. Obviously to avoid taxes or whatever. So while I'm like talking to this lady and like I'm pissed off, and I was like explaining to her, I'm like, it's not my fault that I have to work and I have responsibilities, blah, blah, blah. And he came in, this dude, this like big Spanish dude, he was so scary. And he came in and he's just like, what is going on? And I was like, I don't know what kind of illegal crap you're doing here, but blah, 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 blah. And he literally just like towered, he was like literal bully. Like he like towered over me because he was like super tall and like big. And he just like looked down at me and just like started saying shit to me. And he's like, you need to leave by the end of the month. You can pick up your termination notice next week. And then I was like, oh my effing God. I hope this story is not boring. I'm so full. So then, I told all my friends this. I was like, oh my God, I have to leave. At this point, I had lived there for 3 months. So total, we would have been there for 4 months before leaving. So when I wanted to pick up the termination notice, my friend Christelle, bless Christelle, love Christelle. My friend Christelle, she's like, I'm gonna come with you because I'm gonna yell at this guy or I'm gonna talk to this guy. I'm gonna make sure that he doesn't screw you over. And this girl, like Christelle, is like super not afraid of confrontation. Like she's like very opposite of me, you know, like she can say whatever to like anyone pretty much. She has like a lot of confidence, which I admire. Christelle, if you're watching this, I admire your confidence. So I was like, yes, great. It'd be great to have you there. So she came in wearing like smart clothes, smart casual clothes. And we walked in to get the termination notice. And then this dude, this huge, like tough, macho looking dude, he looks at Christelle. He's like, who are you? Like, why are you here? And then I can't remember what Christelle said, but basically she's like arguing for me, being like, this is not okay that you're doing this. You shouldn't be kicking them out, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, you need to get out of here, blah, blah, blah. And then Christelle looks at him and goes, you're kicking me out? She says the best line I've ever heard. He goes, excuse me, you don't know who I am and you don't know what I could do. And I was like, oh my God, that's a brilliant line. So full. Anyway, he ends up like making Christelle leave the office, which by the way was like so sketchy looking. Like it did not look like an office. There was no sign outside. It was just like glass wall. There's like no like business sign or anything, so you could tell it was like shady, you know. So Christelle like walked outside. She's just like standing outside and she starts like, talking to random people and just telling them about shady business. Anyways, ended up moving out. I can't remember exactly what happened. We were happy to leave though because like I didn't want to deal with them anymore. I just remember like one time they like called me while I was at work because I was like trying to resolve the situation. Like I said, I'm not a fan of conflict. So I'm like, okay, I want to resolve the situation. Like I'm happy to pay rent. Just let me pay direct deposit. Just let me pay. And then I was like texting this girl And I can't remember what I said, but I said something. I was very polite. I'm sorry this is happening, but like, I am happy to pay. Just like, let me pay, blah, blah, blah. And then this guy, the big bully, he calls me and he starts like yelling at me, being like, stop harassing my employees, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, it was just like a disaster. Okay, I don't even know where I'm going with the story, but basically I ended up moving out. And I probably could have sued them, but I mean, me and Chrissy both ended up moving out. And then we ended up, I don't know if I should continue the story because I'm so full. That was the drama of my first landlord. And then my second one, oh my God, that drama. I feel like I should save it for the next mukbang. Because that's a long story too. But honestly, London is seriously full of a lot of strange, crazy people. I don't know. Do you guys want to hear the next story? I think I'm going to save it for the next mukbang because this video is going to get way too long. But if you guys like these, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Because then I know that y'all want more story time mukbang videos. I don't know if I have other stories that are appropriate to tell on the internet. London is a crazy place. I had a great time in London. Don't get me wrong, you guys. London always has a very special place in my heart. And I think it's like such a fun place to live, and I think it's a great experience to live there, especially when you're like in your early 20s, maybe even late 20s actually. When you're in your 20s, essentially, it's a great place to live. It's fun, it's exciting. Well, it's not a great place to live. Like, it's kind of a crappy place to live in some aspects because it's so expensive, it's so crowded. It's just a little bit cray-cray. You don't get paid a lot of money for what you do usually, especially if you're like in like entry level. Like, I made like no money. This is why I came up with cheap, lazy vegan, okay? Because I was like, I can't afford to eat here. So I had to like buy cheap food. So, but it's a fun place. And I have really good memories of living there. Even these stories, these bad stories, I look back and I'm like, you know what? I got a good story out of it. So that's all that matters. You know, if something bad happens to you, obviously it depends on like what it is. If it's something stressful, like a landlord situation, a living situation like this, then well, just think about it as, at least I get a good story out of it. And in the future, you'll laugh about it. At the time, you'll be very stressed, but later on in life, you'll laugh about it. So think about it like that. Because at the time, this was very stressful for me. So good. I think I have to call it quits soon, guys. Oh my God, it's so good. So full. But it's so good. One more dumpling and then I'm done. Oh, all right, I had to grab some water. I'm so full, you guys. Again, what do you guys think of this setup? I think I actually like this kind of angle. I don't know, what do y'all think? You know, like when you watch mukbang videos, I don't know how they do this. They have some kind of thing that like props their food up, and yeah, I don't know. This is the closest I'm gonna get to this. Anyways, that was my story. That was my mukbang. Again, if you want the recipe for the tteokbokki, which I could not finish, but I think I did a pretty good job. I think I had like half of this plate It doesn't look like it, but I'm so full. I'm gonna have like spicy sweats. Let me know your thoughts on my landlord story. If you have any crazy landlord stories of your own, let me know down below. If you want to hear the story of my next landlord, the second landlord I had in London, which is actually more crazy than this story, because this story I realized is not that crazy. It's like, oh my god, my crazy landlord story, but really it's not that crazy. But yeah, comment down below if you've made it this far. Comment below, you are the dumpling to my rice cake. That makes no sense, but it's kind of cute sounding, so yes. Comment that down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, of course, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me. And if you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!